All right, guys, if we're going to suffer, we're going to suffer together through this because honestly, I don't even know how to process this information, and I do have to share it with you. Recently, finally, I got access to Pacer, which allows me to access court documents. And just today, or yesterday, no, just today, Overdrive released an article titled C.H. Robinson Gave Thousands of Loads to Double Brokering Chameleon Carrier. And in the article, they mentioned that they got a hold of the transcript between the lawyers and Alexander Delgado, the owner of a series of carriers, who says he moved thousands of loads for C.H. Robinson almost exclusively. So, what we are going to do is we're going to go through the transcript, and believe me, double brokering in this case is the smallest problem of all. It is that crazy. This was definitely not on my bingo card. Ready? Let's go. So all of this has to do with the C.H. Robinson broker liability case. This was just one of the court documents, a deposition that happened on January 5th of 2026. Now, this deposition is 100 pages long. I read through all of the 100 pages, which was pretty easy considering it's a transcript. It's basically he said, she said, question, answer, question, answer. Pretty easy to get through. We're not going to go through all of this because there's a lot to unpack there, but we are going to focus on two main things. The fact that this carrier openly double brokered loads, and another thing that, again, shocked the shit out of me. Now I'm going to move over here because I will be attaching screenshots of this transcript simply because I cannot attach it to this video. It's not a link, it's a downloaded PDF document. I can't attach those. But basically, Alexander Delgado was a dispatcher of a trucking company, which his father-in-law owned, and it was called BLF Truck Transportation. Now, even though he was a dispatcher, that's what he said, not the owner, he was the sole decision maker in the company. His father-in-law just helped him open the company. It was in his name, but Alexander was the sole decision maker and he was in charge of the day-to-day operations. Now, on his insurance policy, there was only one truck, a 2016 Freightliner, and actually BLF Truck Transportation exclusively hauled loads for C.H. Robinson, about 900 loads over the course of its existence. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So I'm attaching it here. So the question: during BLF's existence, when it would get a load from C.H. Robinson, is it fair to say that BLF would sometimes subcontract that load to another motor carrier? Subcontract means double broker. The answer was yes. Now, this is what the reasoning that Alexander provided was. I only had one truck, so it was impossible to move all the loads. Now, at this point, this is where the attorneys are trying to ask if C.H. Robinson was aware of the fact that this carrier was double brokering loads, but the other party kept on objecting, and the question was being rephrased constantly. And at one point, they asked, Alexander, did C.H. Robinson or anyone at C.H. Robinson ever raise an issue with you about BLF subcontracting C.H. Robinson loads? The answer was no. To top it off, later on in the deposition, and we're going to chat about the other companies that Alexander owned, but Alexander had other companies that did business pretty much exclusively with C.H. Robinson, and the loads were double brokered there as well, although Alexander said that, oh, I didn't know it was illegal. I didn't know it was double brokering. I thought it was just subcontracting loads. But when he was asked whether C.H. Robinson knew about all of this double brokering going on, he said, yeah. Now, then we get into details of a specific load of flowers that was tendered by C.H. Robinson to BLF, the carrier company. But BLF sent this load to another person. His name is Darren Rockubert with a trucking company called Unique. Rockubert, by the way, at least according to the deposition, is rumored to have fled to Cuba. Now, going back to this load, Rockubert did end up picking up the load, but here's the kicker. This load was picking up from the C.H. Robinson Floral Consolidation Location Warehouse, right? It was a C.H. Robinson facility. And again, this load was tendered to BLF. So a logical question that the attorney asked was, at any point on December 22nd of 2022, which was the pickup date of this load of flowers, did any employee of C.H. Robinson call you and ask you why a unique truck, that's the name of the other company it was double brokered to, was picking up a BLF load? The answer was nope. Now, here is the part which shocks me because, again, double brokering is something we hear about all the time. So you kind of get desensitized to it. You just accept it as a very nasty part of our industry. This is where it was kind of a shock to the system. Before BLF, Alexander owned a company called JDA, which opened in 2015. It was also exclusively hauling for C.H. Robinson, pretty much. He said he did over 3,000 loads under GDA. So this is a part we're going to read together. Question. Shortly after getting its authority in 2015, GDA started hauling loads for C.H. Robinson, correct? Answer, yes. And like BLF, GDA did business exclusively with C.H. Robinson for loads, correct? Yes. And then they talk about how it was over 3,000 loads. But here's the interesting part. Lawyer asks, what ultimately happened to GDA? Did it get shut down? Alexander answers, yeah, it was closed by the FMCSA. And then a question, and I don't know how to pronounce this name, honestly, so I'm going to just call him Humes. What did Humes tell you to do after GDA got shut down? Now, Tony Humes was working for C.H. Robinson. Tony Humes is the one who was giving Alexander all the loads from C.H. Robinson. What did Humes tell Alex to do? Alex says that I should open another company to continue doing loads. And after that, he opened JAJ Transportation. Now, JAJ was also shut down, and I'm going to explain my reasoning why I think it was the FMCSA who shut them down as well, but it wasn't made clear, at least not really. It wasn't made clear whether it was a personal decision or an FMCSA decision. And then we have a question from the lawyer. And just like with JAJ, did Tony Humes tell you to form BLF to continue doing business with C.H. Robinson? And the answer, it was to open up another company to continue taking those loads. Now, this is exactly what leads me to believe that JAJ, the second company, was also shut down by the FMCSA because Alexander had a consistent pipeline of loads that are coming in. So it wasn't his choice to shut down one company by choice and then just reopen another company because the market got better, for example. No, these companies were being shut down by the FMCSA, and then we have a representative working for C.H. Robinson who's giving this guy all the loads, is telling him, oh, you got shut down, open up another one. So then there is a part in the deposition that provides a little bit more clarity to the situation. This time it's a C.H. Robinson attorney asking the questions, if I'm not mistaken, and he said, previously, you were testifying how after GDA shut down that Tony Humes told you to start a new motor carrier company. Do you recall that line of questioning? And then a follow-up question. Did you ask Tony Humes for that information, or did Tony Humes offer it to you unsolicited? So this is what Alexander replies. No, I knew that the company was going to be shut down because you usually get a notification from the FMCSA that you're about to get shut down. And I told him that it was going to be closed. And he just said, open up another one. So the lawyer asks, how did he communicate that to you? And it was over a phone call. Similarly, when JAJ shut down, is that the same that Tony Humes and you had a phone call and he told you to just start a new company? Answer, yes. And Tony Humes didn't ask for anything in return. He just kept telling him, oh, you're getting shut down by the FMCSA. Keep opening new trucking companies in order for me to be able to give you loads. Now, going back to the double brokering situation for a minute, there is an interesting little part in the deposition regarding, well, did C.H. Robinson know that you were double brokering their loads that they tendered to you and you were giving them to other carriers? So here's the question. While you were working for BLF, did you ever tell Tony Humes that BLF would be subcontracting or double brokering loads to other carriers? Alexander says, I don't know if I mentioned it, but he should have known given that I had only one truck and we couldn't handle all the loads that were coming our way. So a follow-up question. What information exactly does the broker have in order for them to understand that you have one truck and you can't handle that volume? Answer, the insurance certificate. In order to operate, you have to have the insurance certificate. The insurance certificate said that I have only one truck. And again, going back to that flour load, it was picking up from a C.H. Robinson facility, tendered to a carrier named BLF, yet it was picked up by a carrier named Unique, and no one did anything about it. So fast forward to now, believe it or not, Alexander Delgado does have now another company because BLF was shut down, obviously, and he has a company called Nestline Trucking Corp, which also exclusively works with C.H. Robinson. Now, it is actually active, so I could see what the fuck is going on with that company. Here is the safety score. Yeah, leaves much to be desired, works exclusively for C.H. Robinson or with C.H. Robinson pretty much, but not with Tony anymore. Tony is actually no longer with C.H. Robinson, and no one could provide a reason as to why he's no longer working with the company, whether he was let go or whether he left on his own accord. So we have a situation that I couldn't have imagined even in my wildest dreams, because my perspective of this industry is that brokers are kind of the gatekeepers. They check everything. Some of them are super strict when they're checking your history. They're very careful with chameleon carriers. Yet we have a situation where a carrier keeps opening companies that keep getting shut down by the FMCSA for one reason or another, and the broker who is giving that carrier loads is telling him, meh, just open a new one. I actually don't know what to say other than that, and I need time to process this, but I'm very curious to hear what your thoughts are on this situation, because again, this one shocked me. It just doesn't fit into my reality of how brokers operate. I always had this feeling like brokers are very, very careful for the most part, right? Not on everything, but for the most part. Chameleon carriers for sure. So curious to hear your thoughts on this. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I know it's the second video of the day, and wishing you a fantastic weekend.